Hi there, and welcome to Starlight Wellness. Thank you for tuning into my station. And today I'm doing the astrology report for the full moon in Sagittarius, this June 9th, 2017. I'm filming this on June 9th. So I'm really tapping into the energy, and I have a lot of intuitive guidance to go over for the astrology coming up. So if you tuned into my last video, you would know that we have two really important themes coming up for this full moon. And on the same day of the full moon, we have Jupiter going direct in Libra. And why is this important? Well, because Jupiter in Libra has been retrograde for the last 6 months, and Jupiter is the planet of abundance, of success, of, creating wisdom in our lives and sharing wisdom. And so when it moves direct, it's really going to increase our capacity to create whatever it is we want to create in our lives for the most optimistic outcome. Because Jupiter is optimistic, it's expansive, it relates to wisdom and to abundance. So there's no limitation with Jupiter. And in Libra, it's going to focus on our finances and our relationships, specifically romantic ones. So I'm going to go over a little bit more about the Jupiter and Libra transit, but let's go back to the full moon in Sagittarius. So the full moon in Sagittarius is happening at 18 degrees. 1 + 8 = 9. It's happening on June 9th. And we have Jupiter in Libra, a huge transit, also happening on June 9th. And so there is this 999 code coming up. And 9, numerologically speaking, is symbolic of completion, coming to full circle, things coming to light, because again, it's a full moon, so something's coming full circle or shining a light on some truth, because Sagittarius has to do with higher truth, philosophy, wisdom, or getting to the bottom of what's actually happening. And so we have this 999 code. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, 999, what does that mean? If you add up 999, it equals 9. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, this is a really incredible and special numerological combination. There's more to it than just the number 9. 9 also is representative of Sagittarius. It represents the Sagittarius sign. So there's definitely something more to the 999 code. And so I wanted to go into a little bit more about the 999 code and why it's so important. And I'm going to relate it to some of the prophetic meanings that they have in biblical or the Bible, and why this 999 code is so important right now. Anyway, overall, this moon cycle transit for the next 2 weeks before the new moon, we also have Mars that's going to move into Cancer, or it's already moved into Cancer, and that has to do with home and family, our domestic lives. We're going to have the summer solstice at the end of the month in Cancer. So again, we have this Cancer theme of our domestic lives, how we feel with our domestic lives, how we feel with emotionally, like do we feel safe? Cancer has to do with nurturing and feeling safe. And so those themes are also very important right now. Finally, we have Neptune and Chiron that are going to go retrograde in Pisces. And this is really important during this cycle as well, because there is a Saturn-Neptune square happening during this full moon in Sagittarius. And it's highlighting the fact that Neptune is going retrograde in Pisces and Chiron as well. So I'm going to go over these 4 key themes that are happening for this astrological full moon transit. So I was looking into my own birth chart and studying a little bit more about astrological birth charts themselves. And I was just so guided. It was like the universe aligned me all the way down to my birth chart, like aligned me in the stars perfectly for me to make a video about this. Like there's no doubt in my mind that I am probably one of the only astrologers out there right now that is so aligned to this full moon. And I'm going to tell you why. My moon sign is in Sagittarius. And it's in Sagittarius at 9 degrees. So my personal birth chart is in Sagittarius at 9 degrees. On top of that, my ascendant sign, which is another prominent sign in somebody's birth chart, my ascendant sign is in Libra. And we have Jupiter moving into Libra. And on top of that, my sun sign is in Pisces, or an Aquarius Pisces cusper, which has to do with the Neptune retrograde in Pisces that we have coming up, which is being squared at this full moon. So there's so many components how I'm so aligned to be expressing this astrological report right now that it's even mind-blowing to myself. Like this information, even to me, is like, whoa, like what is going on? So I really hope anyone tuning in is receiving amazing guidance at this time, because I feel so divinely guided to make this video. And I thank you for your presence. All right, so like I was saying, a full moon has to do with completion. It has to do with shining the light on completing a cycle. The number 9 also has to do with completion, and Sagittarius, the sign that the moon is in, also has to do with completion. So I wanted to read Understanding Your Birth Chart, Astrology by Kevin Burk. Read a little bit about Sagittarius, what it represents. So, in short, Sagittarius is about the completion of our identities. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It's ruled by Jupiter, which is another aspect that's transiting right now. So Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, and Sagittarius is always seeking new experiences and new information. It is important to remember that the mythological figure associated with Sagittarius is the centaur, the half-man, half-horse. Part of the process of Sagittarius searching for an understanding in our place in the universe involves reconciling our animal nature with our divine nature. Sagittarius energy is as comfortable exploring philosophy, spirituality, and religion as it is exploring the physical pleasure and activity. And ultimately, one of the lessons of Sagittarius is to learn how to integrate the two. And so I felt so guided to read that because it really truly is emphasizing the importance of our comfortability in exploring philosophy, spirituality, and religion just as much as our physical activities and physical adventures in life. And that's what the Sagittarius represents. And so even just me presenting this video is almost like a divine intervention to express to people that we should be comfortable exploring these types of spiritual topics as well. That there shouldn't be any uncomfortability with that. And it's our divine purpose right now to balance the two. And so I wanted to read also the symbolism of Libra, because Jupiter is in Libra. And what does Libra really represent? And this is where I think a lot of our lessons are going to come head on, because it's really about balancing our relationships, balancing our spiritual divine nature in our physical environment, and whether or not we're getting an even exchange with our environment, with our spiritual divine nature. So are people accepting of our divinity? And it's moving direct. So it's really pushing us to focus in that area. And I think it would be wise to read, what does Libra really represent? And what can be some of the lessons or the downfalls of Libra as a sign on its own? So what's important here is that Libra is the sign, has a planetary exaltation by Saturn. So actually Saturn exalts Libra. So the fact that we have a square in Neptune with Saturn during this full moon in Sagittarius, when Jupiter is going to go into Libra, means that the energy of Saturn is exalted, and it's exalted positively. So this square energy is really coming into a purposeful position. And reading the importance of Libra from this book explains why, and perfectly. So Saturn, the planet of limitations, structure, and responsibility, is exalted in the sign of Libra. And this shows that Libra has a fundamental sense of justice that connects strongly with Libra's need for balance and harmony. With the realization that there are other individuals in the world, Libra also accepts a great deal of personal responsibility, always aware of how the actions of others or the collective affect us. Libra now understands that our individual actions also have effects on other individuals. So Libra is truly the diplomat of the zodiac. No other sign is so refined, understanding of the laws of balance and harmony, or such as true appreciation of astounding beauty that lies within all things harmonious and balanced. Libra seeks to create with others a greater sense of beauty and harmony in the universe. Libra's desire for relationships can, however, lead to dependence on others. Keep in mind the dependence on others, and Libra's need for balance and harmony can sometimes lead to either being manipulated or manipulating others. Because Libra is an air sign, this type of behavior may seem to be the most logical and reasonable approach. Libra is not particularly in touch with the emotions that would often disagree with this line of thinking. What Libra must learn more than anything is that the only way to find true balance and harmony in a relationship is to maintain and express our own individuality to the fullest extent, and to have our partner do the same. Libra energy often seems to feel that it is incomplete and needs a relationship in order to become full. Libra must learn that it does not need to rely on others in order to be whole. So we have this theme of lead to dependence on others. Libra must learn that it does not need to rely on others in order to feel whole and to balance their expression of their own individuality. And so we have Jupiter in Libra in the sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter is expansive. Sagittarius is about individuality, freedom of expression of your individuality, of your individual identity, balancing your divine identity with your physical identity. That's Sagittarius, speaking your truth, expressing this wisdom. And Libra, which is the lesson we have here, what I just explained, is overcoming our dependency on others, overcoming our need to rely on others too much, overcoming our inability to express our individuality. So even though Libra is a sign of balance and beauty and brings so much love and pleasure, we have to be careful. And this is the energy that I think is really coming full circle right now for healing, collectively and individually within my own experience. I'm definitely tapping into an energy where we definitely need to heal our emotional dependency on others and truly embrace our own authentic truth, our own identity. Sagittarius, being strong in who we are, being comfortable in our divine identity as much as we are in our physical identity. Also, something I've noticed in my own experience and in the collective energy is that there's this over-reliance on depending on other people's opinion about you, depending or worrying about what other people think. If you're always worrying or concerned about what people think, or if people are going to like what you have to say, you're not embracing your authenticity. You're embracing emotional dependency, and that's a disorder. And that's a disorder that's coming up for collective healing right now. And I'm pushing through in my own experience. I'm having these energies coming around me trying to impose and tell me that I need to be concerned and be dependent on other people's opinions about me. And this is the collective lesson that is coming up for healing right now, that we need to stop that pattern. That pattern needs to come up for healing. So there's definitely a little bit of a lesson with the Saturn and Neptune square. Neptune is in Pisces, and when it's in Pisces, it's ruled by Pisces. It has to do with illusions. It has to do with secrecy. It has to do with mysticism, fogginess, and it can kind of make things seem confusing. And what's really important is that we might encounter at this time people who lack integrity because of this. There might be secrecy that comes to light, and it's really an energy that's so it's telling us to truly embrace our sixth sense, our divine nature, our capacity to embrace the gifts that we have from our spiritual nature, being comfortable with that ourselves and embracing that within our reality for others. And so I looked at the prophetic meaning of the number 999. So we're going back to 999. And I wanted to read to you some passages that I found on a fairly biblical website, but I think it really brings the topic full circle. So in general, it says the number 9 is the largest and last digit correlating to finality and completeness. The number of finality or judgment is committed onto Jesus as the Son of Man. It marks the end and issue of all things as to man, the judgment of man and all his works. So we have this huge theme of Sagittarius, which is already representing coming to an ending, a full moon already representing coming full circle, and the number 9 representing endings. And it goes on to say, the use of the number 9 as a numerical symbol in scripture is unique and somewhat diverse, but there are 2 striking verses, the 9 of fruits and the 9 gifts of the Spirit. So I wanted to read the passage of 1 Corinthians 12:4 that's listed here about the gifts of the Spirit, because this is about the gifts of our spirit. Sagittarius rules the gifts of our divine nature in our physical reality being expressed. And Jupiter in Libra is going to be exalting that so that we can truly embrace this identity without worrying about what people think. And then Neptune and Chiron moving retrograde in Pisces, I'm going to go into how that's relative a bit later. But I first wanted to go over this passage. So now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. For to one is given the spirit of the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the workings of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another divers kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. So we have this number 9 symbol, even prophetically, biblically, that is telling us that we have a diversity of gifts or talents of the one Spirit, of the unity consciousness. So each of us has a divine gift to share. Even myself, having this intuitive gift, a gift of empathy and a gift of intuition, allows me to tap into these alignments in the stars and to express that. So we all have some gift, and it's important for us to express these gifts. And this is what's coming up for this full moon transit. So another important transit is Mars, that's in Cancer, and it's going to be in Cancer for the summer solstice, which is another important video that I'm going to make at the end of the month. And even for myself, I'm currently needing to relocate. I'm moving, so a lot of things have been put on hold on my business endeavors because I have a lot of domestic things coming up, and so there might be domestic changes coming up for you as well, or some themes of home and family and what makes you feel secure come up for you. And finally, the Neptune and Chiron retrograde in Pisces is going to be really important. It's going to happen later in June, and I had a personal Neptune retrograde in Pisces in my particular birth chart 2 years ago, and I know exactly how Neptune retrogrades can affect your life, and so I'm going to actually make a whole other video about that, hopefully sooner rather than later, but it's a really important theme as well. So please tune in to my video coming up for specifically a Neptune retrograde. But overall, you can see this similar energy that is really trying to reharmonize our divine wisdom, our spiritual divine nature, with our physical environment, which is why the domestic life is coming up here. It's really coming into balance. Again, Libra, bringing in this energy into balance of the spiritual side and the physical side of life. And I'm going to go off the astrology a little bit now and go about my own experience, because I think it's relative to this video and I just feel really guided to share. In my own experience, I had to cut a lot of cords and unplug from a lot of industries. I used to work in the corporate world over 5 years ago now, and I have since cut all those attachments or cords, but there's still energy that tries to get me reattached to those old, you know, environments that I used to work for. And I think it's because I'm guided to share about my gifts of spirit. So my gift of spirit is being highly intuitive. So I'm claircognizant, and I'm also clairsentient, which is extremely empathic. And so in 2012, when all of the world was being awakened, I myself was triggered and was awakened into understanding these higher truths, which is Sagittarius, these higher philosophies, being comfortable understanding these higher states of living and consciousness. And I realized that I was an empath. And at the time, there was some conflict that occurred in my workplace. And I was actually absorbing a lot of the anger or the energies from other people around me. So what's happened, you know, was people were then trying to say that, oh, well, you have this problem, you have anxiety, or you're being paranoid, or you're being selfish, or this, that, or the other thing. When in fact, I had just absorbed all these energies and then I was displaying them, but only temporarily. And so doctors misdiagnosed me, and there's still some remnants of that issue coming back up into my experience, and it needs to be heard. This issue needs to heal, and it's the fact that I'm an empath is why there was this situation that occurred. And guess what? No one teaches you these things. And the energy actually was not really available for the whole planet to even understand these things at that time. So I don't blame anyone, because no one really knows about these things. All this stuff is new to most of us. And so the fact that I undergone such an experience just shows to me my own gift of the spirit that's trying to be expressed right now at this full moon. And, you know, you might tap into your own gift right now. And I think it's really important for you to do that, or to focus on that energy. So I hope that provides anyone with any healing, any more understanding about their spiritual path, the importance of our gifts of spirit, and really tuning into our authenticity and allowing people to be authentically who they are. You know, it doesn't mean you have any sort of medical condition. Don't worry, like a Libra, about what other people are going to think or say about you. Do what's right for you. Follow your truth. And that is the highest and greatest good for all. And slowly people's consciousness are going to start understanding that, because in unity consciousness, when you're truly tapping into your own identity and being comfortable with that, it provides the greatest and highest healing for everyone involved. And that in itself is truly a blessing. So I hope this helps you on your path. For anyone who wants to tune in, I'm also going to be pulling some cards from the Star Child Tarot for this moon cycle and the Archangel Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. But I think this astrological report was really important, and it's a really important transit right now. So I hope this helps you on your path. I wish you lots of love, lots of blessings, and lots of gifts from your own spirit and your own spiritual guidance. So thank you for tuning into Starlight Wellness. Please like and share my page. My services are coming soon. Again, as my domestic situation with the Cancer energy comes unfolded over the next month, I'm hoping by July, August, I will be providing services for everyone. So thank you for tuning in and take care. Much love. Ciao.